Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Sophia4Christ. I thank you so much for joining me this week. Please stay tuned because we'll be back in just one sec. Let us have a quick word of prayer as usual. Almighty God, we thank you for your many blessings. I pray, dear God, that the words of this message will go forth the way how you desire to. Lord, I pray, dear God, that even souls will be enriched. And Almighty God, we thank you for even your continued preservation, protection, and guidance of us all. In Jesus' name, amen. Alright, so this week I'm going to do things a little bit different. Instead of the usual teaching, one of my subscribers, Mrs. R, you know yourself, she suggested that based on the depth of experience that I've had, why don't I share some of those experiences, because it could be useful for other persons. So as some of you would have known, I have studied for a long time, right? So I just wanted to share a quick testimony about going through the different degrees. And by the way, the testimony here is that I didn't pay a cent in tuition for any of those degrees. And of course, specifically just to talk to you about how you can attend grad school for free, meaning that it's not at your expense, it's totally free. So like I said before, most of you would have known I have basically first, second, third degrees all the way up to the doctorate in economics. And for the first degree, I started out the usual way, needing a loan. And once I'd started the first year, that the Lord provided for me to get a full scholarship in terms of tuition. And of course, I had to work part-time on campus, but it still worked out because, you know, the tuition is the bulk of everything when you're going to school. Thereafter, I went on to do my master's degree in economics, but of course, again, I benefited from a tuition waiver with the condition that I would, of course, do some hours in terms of teaching in the department. And thereafter, I went overseas, SUNY Binghamton, for my doctorate in the same economics. So I just wanted to share some quick tips with you from the perspective of someone coming from a developing country and going to do grad school free of cost overseas. I know it seems daunting, you know, we're thinking, oh, for sure I can't go overseas, or, you know, that is for persons who are like really bright and all of that. Well, firstly, I just want to encourage you that there's no such thing as something that is beyond you or it belongs to other persons, because all of the blessings of God, it's freely available. It's a matter of whether or not you believe that you are worthy of accessing those blessings and you're willing to do the work to get it. The first thing that you should know is that universities always need help. They generally need help in the areas of actual teaching or grading of papers or anything administrative. So there's always opportunities for you to render your assistance and of course get some assistance for yourself in return. So just know that those opportunities are always available. However, they are not generally advertised in the usual sense that you would do a job advertisement. It's a matter of you going in and inquiring about what's available. The main requirement that they would have is once you're signed up and you're accepted as a graduate student, the expectation is that you would have done enough of the core material from undergrad to be able to teach persons. So if you have solid grades, not necessarily like it's all A's or anything like that, and you have a good work ethic, that's the other thing, and it's likely that you can benefit from one of these positions. Generally, the way how these positions are termed, they're usually termed as assistantships. That's what we call them in Jamaica. When you go overseas, you first start out as a teaching assistant or a research assistant or both. And then thereafter, once they know that you have become acquainted with their system, they'll upgrade you to an adjunct instructor, meaning that you're basically teaching your own class, but of course with some oversight from a professor in your department. So I just wanted to talk about the structure of these assistantships or scholarships once you get to the graduate level. They usually consist of two parts. The first part is a tuition waiver, meaning that either you don't pay full tuition, but generally in my case, I've always seen it being you would get total tuition forgiveness, or you wouldn't need to pay tuition at all. Of course, the second part to that is a stipend. The stipend is it's not as much as a salary, but the point is for the area that you're living in, it's adjusted for cost of living. So you can live comfortably as a single or probably as a very small family unit, for example, a husband, a wife, and 2 small children at most. I've seen persons come into my cohorts while I was in grad school overseas and they were able to manage. Now, if you intend to go to grad school, it's a matter of you researching the best possible institution or set of institutions, because you would be applied to just one place. When I was preparing for grad school, I searched probably about 5 universities. In your case, you're not going to be searching in terms of just the program qualities, but also in terms of the funding opportunities that are available. So you see if you can get tuition waivers and stipends, like I said before, combined, and if so, what are the conditions attached to them. So because it's such a lengthy process when you're applying for grad school, and especially if you want to get full funding as well, you need to start early. So say for example you want to start grad school next year, say 2020, September 2020, you would have to start from this year, which is now August 2019. You would start the process, because apart from researching the different schools, you have to give it enough time for you to do the different phases of the application, not just for entry as a grad student, but also for your funding opportunities. And of course, because we are in Jamaica, we can't just walk into America as we feel like. So you will of course need to account for the requirements to get your student visa, because our regular B1, B2 business and visitors visa, you can't go up and study on that. So you definitely need to get a F1 or a student visa, right? So please, I know Jamaica is how we are. And I'm sorry if you're not from Jamaica or from the Caribbean. I have to talk from what I know from my perspective as a Jamaican. So please, 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 Jamaicans, please do not go up on your B1, B2 visas for business and pleasure and then try to study. You will get into so many problems. Just go up with the correct visa for the correct purpose. So a part of the whole application process is that they'll want to get recommendations from your former professors. Now I hope that when you were studying during your undergraduate years, you were nice to your professors, or at least you spoke to them. They knew you from office hours, and you were not just a one of those students who came into class and then you were like, oh yeah, I'm done, and that's it. Yes, you need to reach out to your former professors for the previous universities that you have attended, because they will need to write glowing letters of recommendation, speaking to your performance as a student, speaking to your character as a good person to have around, because schools not only want you in terms of, oh, you're very smart, but they want to know that the interpersonal skills are also there. Also, remember I said with these assistantships, they're looking if you can help them with the teaching aspect. Your former professors ideally should be able to speak to your ability to teach in a classroom setting. If you have a tutor at the university level, that's still okay. If you have some teaching experience, say for example, even with primary school, secondary school, that's still good. Also, if from, say for example, your social or religious organizations or associations, you've done any teaching or any instruction, that's still applicable. It just shows that you have some ability to teach. So if you're going to go the US route for grad school, you'll have to do the GRE exams. And of course, I know if it's law, you'll do LSAT and stuff like that. And you have the different graduate exams that you have to do for different programs. But for humanities and the social sciences, it's the case that you'd have to complete the GRE exam. Now, at the time when I was applying, I was under duress because, like I shared with you all before, my mom was sick with breast cancer and I was teaching at the time as well. So I didn't really have time to study for the GRE. But ideally, you should. You know, I bought the books. You can get them on Amazon, ship them here via our various shipping companies. Or if you can just buy the ebook versions, that's even less of a hassle. So these tests aren't anything very difficult. It's basically English, math, and I think general reasoning skills. It's not anything that difficult, but once you purchase the books to practice, you should be fine to do the GRE exam in your home country. In my case, I did it in Jamaica. You'll need to have the GRE score when you're applying to the different universities. Remember, I say you have to plan for at least a year. So we did that 1 year preparation period. For the first 3 months, you need to get those basics in place, like your GRE exams, sitting it, getting the scores, getting all of your recommendations together, all of those things you want to do them as early as possible. Then the next step is to do the actual application to your university of choice, but ideally you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, so you want to apply to as many schools as possible. Because you spend all of that money for the GRE exam, it's one score, they're all going to use it. Just apply everywhere to as many schools as possible. At this point, you're doing everything electronically, so make sure, for those of you who don't like checking your emails, you need to live in your email inbox during this time. They'll send whatever communication for extra information that they require of you via email, and of course they expect you to respond in a timely manner. Now I know that we like the idea of when we're going to the embassy, we just want to get it over and done with and we want to just go there right away, but that's not quite how it works, because before you can go to the US embassy, you'd have to first get an acceptance letter from the university of your choice. So of course Sudi Binghamton sent me the acceptance letter via email. I was like, yes, for sure, I know I'm going off, because I've got the full funding as well. So then I knew it was time for the US Embassy, which persons tend to fear, but the main point is, as long as you do your paperwork correctly and you are forthright during the actual visa interview process and you're focused going into the interview, then, and of course you pray. Fasting won't hurt you either. Pray and fast, yeah? But remember that faith without works is dead. So make sure that you do the groundwork, you do your prayer, do your fast, you're going. And by the grace of God, you'll be able to get your F1 visa, or your student visa, that is. The other thing you should bear in mind is that if you're going to plan to go in to the US Embassy, to of course get the student visa to go overseas, ideally you don't want to be going for a visa interview like right before, for another type of visa like right before you go for the student one, because one, it's the cost aspect, and two, it's just the whole idea of, they're very skeptical of us as Jamaicans at the embassy, so they're like, why are you coming? You came for the first one and then, God forbid, you didn't get it, and now you're coming back for the student one. So you want to make sure that, even if you were rejected before, I had friends who were rejected from getting their regular B1, B2 visas for business and pleasure, but because they went in with all their documentation intact and everything legit for their student visa, and they were successful. But the point is, you just need to schedule everything carefully so that, if you're working on things to go overseas for grad school, that's basically what you're focusing on. So, the other thing that you need to consider is how to, wrap up your life in your home country in preparation to study full-time overseas. Now, if you're already working, that of course means that you need to speak to your employer about, the fact that you're going off to study. The other thing is, if you have an apartment, you'll have to figure out how to end that lease, or if you're on a lease, and of course what to do with your furniture and all of that. If you have a car, you need to figure that out. Are you going to sell it, or you're going to leave it with family members? So all of those things. So once you have your visa in hand, which ideally you want that to be at least 6 months before you actually are due to start grad school, it's okay. When they give you the student visa, even if it's early days yet, you won't be going in until it's close to the time for you to start school. Another thing, another cautionary note that I would like to share is that not because you are going overseas to do your grad school and you may be anticipating that, well, I'm not coming back, I'm going to get a job and that's it, and these people were horrible to me and da 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 da, you know, don't, although you're closing the chapter with that organization, with those persons, remember, you should not burn bridges, because even if you did have the best of times with persons, you know, at the time when you are working there, you never know when you may, even if you're not going back there to work at all. But the point is, you never know when you may need a recommendation, you never know when paths may collide and all of that. So you want to make sure that you're not leaving on bad terms. Anyway, arrange your finances. So although you're on a full tuition waiver, you'll be getting a stipend. It doesn't mean that you're going to get the first month's pay or stipend right away. So you need to make sure that you're going up with enough funds to finance your life for the first, I would say the first month and a half of you being there for your graduate studies. I think we've come to the end of this video. So I understand that this entire video is from the perspective of someone entering the US for grad school. It's a different process if you're already in the US and you're applying for grad school. So if that's your experience, please share the comments below how you went about starting grad school from within the USA or from within UK, Canada, wherever. As well, if you're planning to or you would like to start grad school and you're somewhat hesitant and you're wondering if you should go and you need a little bit of encouragement, make sure that you post in the comment section below as well. I really like to get feedback from you all, so make sure that you post. And of course, I'll be sure to respond to your comments, your questions, and of course, your prayer requests. So I thank you so much for listening thus far. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Just go ahead and click the subscribe button if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, but you know you always watch. So just go ahead and click the subscribe button. It's that little red button with the word subscribe. Just click it. But in addition to clicking the subscribe button, make sure that you click the little bell icon, because that lets you know when I upload a new video. So until next week, may His blessings, peace, and wisdom be upon you all. Bye bye.